Is it just me, or is it that chapters like this are so incredibly fun? Like, I have this weird appreciation for them. There's nothing crazy, nothing out there, no big reveals or anything, but just a genuine conversation between two characters that are so conflicted between one another. This character wants to go this direction and the other wants to do this. So they clash very much head on, and you never really get a result from it. You don't leave this conversation or this argument or this conflict with clear, resolute ideas or solutions or a path to go upon. If anything, you leave a little bit more worried. You leave with a little bit more information that makes you worried. So where we currently sit now collectively as fans of Chainsaw Man, as fans of Fujimoto, is very much in the unknown. This chapter provides more clarity, but not necessarily for the direction of the story, but for Yoshida a little bit. He's still very much unpredictable. He's still very much weird and a bit of a creep, but I do feel like it's starting to clear up little by little. And that's putting aside any ulterior motives, agendas, etc., right? For the first time within the story, and I mean the entirety of Chainsaw Man's narrative, we see a emotional outburst from Yoshida that we have never seen before. And when I say that this is impressive, this is kind of revolutionary for the story, it genuinely is. He does not express emotion normally. I think the only time you ever see him express something is in the form of a smirk or a half smile or something that kind of pleases him. But for the first time, he is annoyed. He's sweating. He's frustrated. He's genuinely upset with Denji's choices and going against what Yoshida is offering him. Not only do I find this funny because we've never seen it, and just the sheer panic on someone as stoic as Yoshida just feels weird, but it shows a bit of vulnerability, and it actually helps us as viewers understand his perspective a little bit more. This whole chapter is Yoshida trying to convince Denji to not be Chainsaw Man anymore. We knew this already, but the original times he was kind of iffy about it. He wasn't as confrontational, but more sly. You remember the cake situation, taking away the utensils, allowing Denji not to live a normal life. It was kind of a half threat. Wasn't super serious, but Denji didn't really care and kind of done his own thing, and it's kind of empowering for Denji. We've seen it time and time again throughout part 2, so we've always appreciated that Denji is taking his own life, his own measures into his own hands. He's no longer being controlled, and this is a really great thing. So Yoshida keeps getting deflected off pretty easily, even though he's threatening some major things, especially within this chapter. He gets deflected. This time, however, feels very different. He is threatening Denji directly, saying that he will show the corpse of Nayuta to Denji. So he's still offering a good life. He's still offering to live peacefully. He even offers Denji friendship, that they can hang out and be normal friends if Denji lives a normal life. This is how desperate he is for this to happen, and because of this, I have an inkling that there is a much bigger reason why he doesn't want Denji involved anymore, and it's most likely to do with that prophecy. So on one hand, he's offering all of these good things, and then he's obviously portraying the bad side as well, killing Nayuta, showing her corpse, etc., ruining Denji's life, taking everything away from him. The problem that Yoshida has, and something that I feel like he hasn't really realized, is that he will never get through to Denji because of the manipulation that Denji went through with Makima. See, Makima really took control of Denji's life, put him down this direction and that direction, tried to misalign how he felt about things, and directionally put it down this type of path for a result or an action that would just blow up into something else. It's this event that triggers something else, that triggers another thing, and so forth, right? It's very sequential. Denji has broke out of that. By the end of part 1, he broke out of that, and that was a really big stepping stone for his character. So every time we've seen him within part 2, every time Yoshida has threatened him, even though it's been kind of half threats and never really direct or kind of as desperate as this time now, Denji has always stuck with his own choice because he knows and he believes that not only 1, that he deserves it, but 2, he has control over his own life. Even though the worst of the worst options or the best of the best options are given to him, Denji will still take his own route. I don't think there is anything that Yoshida can do now to convince or scare Denji into going down a certain path. It's done. I don't think we'll get another conversation like this ever again. So what does this all mean, however? What is the purpose? What is Yoshida trying to do? For the first time, we're seeing him flustered, right? Why is he getting so flustered? Well, I don't think Yoshida's organization is that bad. I think they might be a little bit too good, for example. And I say that questionably with a little bit of space because there's no real way to determine that other than the actions of Yoshida himself. This could be a reflection of his organization, this just could be him. He doesn't want Chainsaw Man as an entity involved in whatever is going on, and this prophecy, the Age of Devils, seems right up that alley. I think he's trying to avoid adding Chainsaw Man to this because if you reread Chainsaw Man Part 2, you'll notice that Denji and even Chainsaw Man specifically is not really necessary for this Age of Devils. He kind of just accidentally finds himself within these situations because he does keep turning into Chainsaw Man. And it's funny because Yoshida is trying to navigate through this Age of Devils and through this prophecy. He's going towards Fami, for example, and to converse with her and have an agreement of sorts. I think Yoshida might know what is actually coming with this prophecy, or he has a good idea. He may think that Chainsaw Man, the abilities that Chainsaw Man has, might mess this up and make it more worse than what it actually could be. Now you're probably thinking, well, what does that even mean? Denji's ability is one that is very scary, not only for devils, primal fears, horsemen, you name it, right? The ability to erase is kind of the only form of death that we know that devils can experience, right? This is a big thing, and there's certain things that I would say that you shouldn't actually erase. Now, I don't know if Yoshida feels this way, but depending on what this prophecy brings forward, depending on what it's connected to, certain things throughout humanity shouldn't be erased. For example, let's just say death. If you erase the idea of death itself, I think you kind of bring humanity to a screaming halt. Death is just completely forgotten, so it's no longer a consequence, it's no longer within your mind, you're no longer anchoring your actions to this idea that death could be a consequence if you run across a highway. Instead, you will just do it now, and it will just happen. It kind of crumbles the idea of fear itself. It doesn't completely erode the idea of fear, but it does leave a big blank at the end of it. I'm scared to do this, but I don't know why I'm scared to do it because I don't know the consequence. Do you get what I mean? Certain devils that probably exist that shouldn't actually be erased from existence. Even the horsemen themselves are a little bit weird to erase because fundamentally they are very powerful and bad in a lot of aspects, but also kind of oddly balance out the world in this good way, bad way type of thing. You know what I mean? There's probably a lot of arguments you could make against that, but it's just an interesting idea on why Chainsaw Man should be disconnected from this prophecy. Whatever the Age of Devils is going to introduce, it's most likely going to be very significant to humanity moving forward and even devils themselves. Don't worry, I'll have kind of halfly a video talking about it in the next couple of days. So with all of that known, here we are. Denji doing his own thing, finding Nayuta, hugging her, which was very nice, beautiful scene to be honest. It just felt homely. It feels very wholesome. And even though Yoshida sat here the whole time threatening the death of Nayuta, I don't really know if he actually could. I don't know if his organization knows or if he knows that Nayuta is a horseman. He says it in a way that you could believe that he knows, and like, oh, we can kill Nayuta because technically she is a horseman, so it wouldn't be a big deal. She's not just a random child. You could see it that way, but then you can also see it in the way that could you actually kill her? Not because she's a horseman and that she'll just be reborn somewhere else, but we know that to be legitimate, but she's actually quite strong. She's not unknown to her abilities. She's not silly in that regard, so if someone did try and press her, I think she would easily fight back in a way that is a lot more unpredictable than you think. It's hard because Yoshida is a very strong character, and I do have a suspicion that we will get a physical conflict very soon between them. Whether it be with Nayuta, whether it be with Denji, Fami's prophecy, whatever, Yoshida's going to be on that front line. It works kind of nicely with what I mentioned in the previous video when it comes to Fami and Yoshida having different perspectives on what this prophecy is, but maybe also morally or ethically as well. Fuels back into the idea of should you actually erase things? Should you kill things that are fundamental for society to function? You see what I mean? The other person to add on top of that is Kishibe, and his motives are very different to everyone's currently. He's not working with an organization, at least I don't think so. Doesn't seem like he's working with public safety, doesn't seem like he has his own private thing. He's just doing things off his own intention. What he thinks would be better for Denji and Nayuta, the control devil, and the future going forward. Yoshida has been always very organization heavy, very toe the line, but he's also young. Do you see the amount of twists and turns and just different agendas that are currently misaligning, and we don't really know where anyone sits, what they're trying to achieve, or what's going on? All we know is that Denji will be Denji, Asa will be Asa, and then there's this age of devils that's about to come in that will annihilate the human race and replace them with devils. Definitely not the easiest thing to balance. Like, it's done. It's over. Yoshida will not try and push this agenda anymore. It's even funny how it ends, because he still thinks that Denji did not understand him similar to the previous times, which isn't the case whatsoever. There's this very common theme of people underestimating Denji, not giving him the benefit of the doubt of understanding what is being said to him, but he has grown very beautifully from part 1 to part 2 in such a short amount of time, and it's because his perspective has now opened up to the person that means the world to him. It's not just about him anymore, it's also about Nayuta, and he will fight for Nayuta in a way that is very destructive. So if Yoshida is going to play that threat, I think he has to prepare for the consequences of not just a chainsaw man, but the full armor Pochita, because that's what he will have to deal with. Now think about that fight for a moment, and it would not end well. That would be crazy. But for now, we are somewhat in the clear. I, for one, really enjoyed this chapter. I'm very excited for next week because we are getting a chapter, but I do want to hear your thoughts, your ideas, your theories, how you felt about this chapter. Let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. It supports me a ton, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching.